Who Killed Hollywood Star Christa Helm? Outside her agent's home, in the heart of Hollywood's glamour lies a story of ambition, mystery, and tragedy. This is the case of Christa Helm, an actress whose life was filled with secrets, scandal, and connections to the rich and powerful. Her untimely and brutal death remains unsolved, leaving behind a trail of questions and whispers of dangerous liaisons. Stick around as we dive into this chilling Reddit story, unpacking the details, theories, and twists that continue to baffle investigators. If you enjoy deep dives into gripping unsolved mysteries, don't forget to subscribe, like, and join the conversation below. On February 12, 1977, the quiet streets of West Hollywood became the stage for a gruesome crime that continues to haunt investigators and true crime enthusiasts alike. Christa Helm, an up-and-coming actress with striking beauty and a sharp mind, was found brutally murdered outside her agent's home. Her body lay partially hidden beneath a parked car, stabbed more than 20 times in a violent and frenzied attack. The wounds on her hands and arms told a chilling story of her desperate struggle to survive. Christa fought valiantly against her killer, but the brutal assault ultimately claimed her life. In the glittering world of Hollywood, where ambition and appearances often mask sinister truths, the murder of Christa Helm stands as one of the most perplexing unsolved cases. What secrets did Christa take to her grave, and who had a motive to silence her forever? Welcome to Bad Things. Today, we delve into the enigmatic case of Christa Helm, exploring the question, who most likely killed her? Christa Helm was born Sandra Lynn Wallfield on November 10, 1949, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The eldest of three daughters, Christa's early life was shaped by hardship and resilience. Her father, Harry, worked in an asphalt company while her mother, Dolores, stayed at home to care for the family. However, Dolores battled alcoholism, which strained the marriage and created a turbulent home environment. By the time Christa was just 3 years old, her parents' marriage crumbled under the weight of these struggles, leading to divorce. Following the split, Christa and her sisters lived with their mother, but the situation soon became perilous due to the abusive relationships Dolores brought into their lives. In search of safety and stability, the three girls eventually moved in with their father and his second wife, Nancy. Shortly after arriving in New York, Christa crossed paths with Stuart Duncan, an heir to the Lee and Perrins Worcestershire sauce fortune. Stuart's true passion, however, was in the world of theater, particularly production. He was a budding impresario who had already ventured into a few projects, and his third production, Godspell, became a landmark success. Seeing potential in Christa, Stuart offered her a financial stake in the production. Stuart soon became a benefactor and close companion to Christa, funding her luxurious New York lifestyle. He provided her with an elegant residence and even financed her self-produced film, Let's Go for Broke, in which Christa starred as an investigative journalist. Christa thrived in the vibrant social scene of New York, cultivating relationships with influential figures who could advance her career. One key connection was Lenny Barron, a skilled costume designer renowned for his ties across the entertainment industry. Lenny introduced Christa to powerful figures and even hired her for his modeling agency, giving her a reliable income stream. His mentorship and support helped Christa secure small but meaningful roles, including a part in the low-budget horror film Legacy of Satan. Interestingly, some scenes for the film were shot in Christa's own apartment in 1972. The movie was later released in 1974, the same year her self-produced film, Let's Go for Broke, hit theaters. Although she began making progress in her career, Christa faced physical challenges. The demanding stunts required for Let's Go for Broke exacerbated her scoliosis, and she was hospitalized after filming. While recovering, Christa met the charismatic football legend Joe Namath, who was also receiving treatment for a sports injury. The two struck up a friendship that reportedly blossomed into a brief romantic relationship. Despite her tireless efforts, Let's Go for Broke premiered in Ohio to minimal fanfare, failing to leave a lasting mark on the industry. However, the setbacks didn't deter Christa. With each experience, she grew more determined, amassing a network of allies and acquaintances that both enriched her life and, perhaps, drew her closer to the dangers that would ultimately overshadow her bright ambitions. Determined to remain in the limelight, Christa Helm became skilled at keeping herself relevant in Hollywood's competitive social scene. She actively sought opportunities to appear in gossip columns, knowing that maintaining visibility could help her secure more acting roles and connections. In pursuit of greater opportunities, Christa relocated to Los Angeles, the heart of the entertainment industry. Her persistence paid off, and she managed to land small but notable roles in popular TV series such as Wonder Woman and Starsky and Hutch. These appearances, though minor, helped her build her resume and expand her network in Hollywood. Around this time, Christa developed a close relationship with Bernie Kornfeld, a financier with deep ties to influential circles. Known for his charm and reputation as a ladies' man, Bernie introduced Christa to a world of wealth and power. Christa also began working at Sergio's nightclub, an elite hotspot frequented by celebrities, politicians, and other high-profile figures. Sergio's was renowned for its private lounge areas designed for intimate gatherings away from prying eyes. Christa leveraged her position at the club to mingle with influential patrons, forming relationships that would prove both advantageous and dangerous. Among the connections she made at Sergio's was actor George Hamilton, a name that would later surface during investigations into her murder. By 1976, Christa transitioned out of the luxurious home provided by Stuart Duncan and into an apartment she shared with a roommate, Patty Collins. Patty would later become a key figure in the unfolding mystery surrounding Christa's death. One of the most intriguing aspects of Christa's life during this time was her secret diary, a small but potent artifact she carried with her everywhere. In its pages, Christa detailed her personal life, including intimate accounts of her relationships with powerful and famous men. The rumored list of names in her diary read like a who's who of Hollywood and beyond, including Jack Nicholson, Mick Jagger, Joe Namath, Warren Beatty, Desi Arnaz, and Johnny Rivers. However, Christa's connections weren't limited to the entertainment industry. Her diary was also rumored to contain the names of influential politicians and even royalty, including the Shah of Iran. It's speculated that Christa may have met the Shah through her work with Lenny Barron's modeling agency. Though this link remains unconfirmed, the diary, filled with potential secrets, became a source of speculation after her death, leading some to believe it may have played a role in her murder. As her career evolved, Christa was reportedly working on a new venture, a disco album with the acclaimed music producer, Frankie Crocker. This project demonstrated Christa's versatility and ambition as she sought to leave her mark not only in Hollywood but also in the music industry. Christa's life in Los Angeles was a delicate balancing act between ambition and risk. Her charm and connections brought her closer to success, but they also exposed her to a dangerous world where secrets held extraordinary power. Little did she know, the lines between her professional and personal life would blur in ways that might ultimately cost her everything. Among the key individuals in Christa Helm's orbit, a few stood out as central figures in the tangled web of her life and death. Patty Collins, Christa's roommate, and Debbie Danilo, one of the backup singers for Christa's album, were deeply intertwined with her personal and professional life. Patty and Christa had developed a romantic relationship, but not everyone in Christa's circle viewed Patty favorably. Stephanie, another of Christa's later roommates, described Patty as exuding bad energy and claimed she harbored jealousy toward Christa. Rumors circulated that Christa, Patty, and actor George Hamilton had participated in a shared sexual encounter that was allegedly recorded on an audio tape and referenced in Christa's infamous diary. While Patty and Christa were initially close, their relationship deteriorated in the months leading up to Christa's death. The tension reached a breaking point when Christa evicted Patty from their apartment and removed her from the album project they had been working on together. Blair Aronson, a keyboardist for the disco album, also found himself drawn into Christa's chaotic world. He developed an interest in her, but things became complicated when Debbie Danilo, the other backup singer, revealed her own feelings for Blair. According to Blair, he and Christa had been intimate one night, but their encounter took an eerie turn when he noticed Debbie outside the window watching them. Debbie vehemently denied this accusation, instead claiming she had seen Christa and Patty involved in a passionate moment with another musician that same evening. These conflicting accounts added to the increasingly volatile dynamics within Christa's circle. Amid this turmoil, Christa sent a troubling postcard to a childhood friend, suggesting she was feeling overwhelmed and frightened. The message read, "I'm in over my head and I might need to disappear for a while. If anything happens to me, please take care of Nicole." The ominous tone of the postcard hinted that Christa might have sensed her life was in danger, though the exact source of her fear remains unknown. On the night of February 11th, 1977, Christa and her roommate Stephanie attended a party in Laurel Canyon. The event, rumored to have been hosted by someone in the music industry, was lively and full of energy, but something seemed to unsettle Christa as the evening progressed. Whether it was a specific encounter or a culmination of the tensions in her life, Christa appeared increasingly uneasy, a sense of foreboding that would tragically prove warranted by the end of the night. Stephanie couldn't shake the feeling that something was off with Christa that night. She noticed an unusual expression on Christa's face, a mixture of worry and distraction. When Stephanie asked if anything was wrong, Christa dismissed her concerns, insisting it was nothing. Despite Christa's reassurance, Stephanie could sense that something had shaken her deeply. As the evening went on, Stephanie left the party with her boyfriend, heading to the beach for some time alone. Before departing, she handed her car keys to Christa, trusting her friend to look after herself while she was gone. But later that night, as Stephanie and her boyfriend drove along Sunset Boulevard, an uneasy feeling overcame her. She couldn't stop thinking about Christa. Acting on instinct, Stephanie asked her boyfriend to pull over so she could use a payphone to check in. She called Christa's apartment, but there was no answer. What exactly happened to Christa after the party remains unclear, but in the early hours of February 12th, she drove to the home of Sandy Smith, a music agent based in West Hollywood. Her car was found parked haphazardly in front of a neighbor's house, its erratic positioning suggesting she may have arrived in a rush or under duress. At some point after her arrival, Christa was brutally attacked with a large butcher knife and a blunt object, despite her martial arts training and the defensive wounds on her hands and arms that testified to her valiant effort to fight off her attacker. Christa succumbed to her injuries. She bled to death in the street, her life cut short in a horrifyingly violent manner. Around 1:30 a.m., a limo service owner named Thurman Brooms stumbled upon her body. He later claimed to have been standing over Christa as she took her final breath, though the accuracy of his account has been called into question. After discovering her lifeless form, Thurman reportedly knocked on Sandy Smith's door, but no one answered. He then drove to the nearest police station to report the murder. Detective Larry Gansey led the investigation into Christa's death, and from the outset, it was clear that this was not a random act of violence. The ferocity of the attack suggested it was deeply personal, fueled by rage or desperation. Christa's body bore numerous defensive wounds, evidence of her struggle against the killer. Her purse was missing from the scene, leading investigators to suspect that the motive might have been tied to theft or something far more sinister. The infamous diary Christa carried everywhere, rumored to contain explosive secrets about her relationships with powerful men, became a central focus of speculation. Could it have been the key to unraveling her murder, or the very reason she was killed? The autopsy revealed the horrifying extent of Christa Helm's injuries. One of the more enigmatic figures in the case was Sandy Smith, Christa's agent and someone who shared a close relationship with her. Sandy had attended the party in Laurel Canyon where Christa was last seen alive, and it was in front of his home where her lifeless body was found. Sandy claimed he had been asleep at the time of the murder and insisted he hadn't heard or seen anything unusual. However, neighbors reported seeing people coming and going from Sandy's house that night, casting doubt on his account. His proximity to the crime scene and his silence about the events of that evening only deepened the mystery surrounding Christa's tragic death. The discovery of Christa's body just outside Sandy Smith's home inevitably raised questions about his potential involvement in her murder. Allegations surfaced suggesting that Sandy may have been involved in drug dealing, an activity that could have exposed Christa to dangerous individuals and situations. His proximity to the crime scene and the shadowy rumors surrounding his lifestyle added another layer of complexity to an already convoluted case. Meanwhile, Patty Collins, Christa's former roommate and romantic partner, vanished immediately after Christa's death. Her sudden disappearance fueled suspicions that she might have played a role in the murder, either directly or as an accomplice. Some speculated that Patty fled out of fear or to evade investigation, with reports indicating that she may have gone to live with family. Years later, when cold case investigators reopened Christa's case in 2006, they discovered female DNA under Christa's fingernails. This finding strongly suggested that another woman was involved in the struggle leading up to her death. Could it have been Patty? According to an anonymous music agent cited on WhoKilledChristaHelm.com, Patty had always seemed jealous and gave off unsettling vibes. The agent claimed to have informed investigators that Patty should be a prime focus of the investigation. Despite these claims and the physical evidence pointing to female involvement, Patty has never been formally questioned about Christa's murder. However, The violent and frenzied nature of the attack, as well as the significant physical strength required to overpower Christa and inflict her fatal injuries, raised doubts about whether a single woman could have acted alone. Another figure who emerged as a potential suspect was Rudy Mazzella, a musician and known drug dealer connected to Christa's social circle. Rudy's history of violence and his reputation for carrying weapons. Christa's tumultuous personal life also presented another angle for investigators. She had numerous relationships with men, some of whom were already involved with other women. This dynamic led investigators to consider jealousy as a possible motive. Women who viewed Christa as a threat to their relationships may have harbored enough animosity to act violently. The sheer intensity of the attack suggested it was a crime of passion, driven by strong emotions like jealousy or rage. One of the more outlandish theories linked Christa to powerful figures, including the Shah of Iran. Some speculations even suggested that Christa might have been gathering sensitive information for unknown purposes or engaging in high-stakes situations that exposed her to danger. While the truth of this theory remains unverified, Christa's habit of documenting her encounters, both in her diary and on audio tapes, placed her in a precarious position. These recordings, rumored to contain explosive revelations, may have ultimately made her a target in a world where secrets carried deadly consequences. Christa Helm's murder was undeniably brutal, with 22 stab wounds inflicted in a manner that strongly indicated a crime of passion rather than a random act of violence. The sheer ferocity of the attack suggested the killer had a deeply personal motive, possibly tied to the secrets Christa meticulously documented in her diary. The audio tapes she recorded of her intimate encounters may have contained sensitive information capable of damaging powerful individuals if ever exposed. Witness reports from the night of the murder add to the chilling mystery. One witness claimed to hear two women and a man arguing before the screams began, though their view of the scene was obscured by shrubs. The discovery of female DNA under Christa's fingernails during the reopened investigation in 2006 further implied that at least two people were involved in the attack, and one of them was likely a woman. Christa's roommate Stephanie had observed her acting unusually worried on the night of her murder, a detail that bolsters the theory that Christa may have been entangled in a love triangle or a similarly volatile situation. The nature of the crime does not point to an act committed in a moment of heated passion or impulse. Instead, it suggests a premeditated attack driven by intense emotions like jealousy. The most prominent female suspect in the case remains Patty Collins. Negative perceptions of her from Christa's circle, coupled with her sudden disappearance after the murder, made her a focal point of suspicion. Despite this, Patty was never questioned during the original investigation. Years later, new developments emerged. According to the website WhoKilledChristaHelm.com and the 2008 48 Hours episode covering the case, detectives tracked down a woman they believed to be Patty Collins. This Patty was a meth addict living in squalor in Montana. She denied ever living in Los Angeles, but her sister contradicted her claims, stating that Patty had indeed lived in LA during the 1970s. The sister further revealed that Patty had called their parents around the time of Christa's murder, asking to be brought home because she was in serious trouble. However, when investigators compared DNA from this woman to the sample found under Christa's fingernails, there was no match. These findings left many people invested in the case feeling that the police may have pursued the wrong lead and failed to locate the real Patty Collins. To this day, the mystery surrounding Patty's potential involvement and the identity of the other individuals in the argument remains unresolved, leaving Christa's case frustratingly open. If the real Patty Collins remains unaccounted for, she stands out as a person of interest due to her tumultuous relationship with Christa, the witness reports, and her abrupt disappearance following the murder. But if Patty was involved, who might her accomplice have been? The circumstances suggest Christa may have been fleeing from someone she knew, given the erratic manner in which she parked her car outside Sandy Smith's home. While it seems unlikely that Sandy himself was directly involved in Christa's murder, his behavior raises questions. It is hard to imagine someone leaving a dying woman outside their home and simply going back to bed, as he claimed. However, the accounts of people coming and going from Sandy's house that night strongly suggest he may have known more than he was willing to share with investigators. If Sandy was aware of what happened, his silence could stem from a variety of reasons: fear of retaliation, feelings of guilt, or perhaps an effort to protect someone. Whatever the motive, it adds a strange and unsettling layer of suspicion to the case, leaving an unresolved tension that continues to linger over the events of that fateful night. And as for the man involved in the attack, any suggestion would be purely speculative. However, the most likely scenario points to someone within Christa's inner circle, a person familiar enough with her life and secrets to act with such rage and precision. If this is true, it means there are individuals alive today who know exactly what happened to Christa Helm, but have chosen to remain silent. The tragic reality is that Christa's story remains unfinished, her murder shrouded in mystery and unanswered questions. Until someone comes forward or new evidence surfaces, the truth about who ended her life and why will remain hidden in the shadows of Hollywood's darkest secrets. The tragic case of Christa Helm reminds us how ambition, secrecy, and dangerous connections can intertwine to create a story as heartbreaking as it is mysterious. Her untimely death highlights the vulnerability of those who navigate circles of power and influence where trust is scarce and risks are high. Christa's story serves as a haunting reminder to value safety and transparency, even in the pursuit of big dreams. If you enjoyed this Reddit story and want to hear more compelling tales, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps these stories alive and helps us bring you more content. Stay curious, stay safe, and join us next time for another gripping journey into the unknown.